Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, warning, as you can see on your screen, the content of this video may be disturbing and too graphic for a general audience. So, viewer discretion is strongly advised for this video. Sometimes in my course of the days that I spend researching cases to bring to you, the viewer, I stumble across cases that really hit home, that knock me to my knees, that make me, as strong-hearted, of a person that I try to be, and to put on the rough exterior that I try to have. Cases just get to me. Maybe they hit too close to home. Maybe I'm able to sympathize too much with the victim, or I understand because of my past and my knowledge of certain types of crimes, I'm able to sympathize in a way with the perpetrator of the crime. And this is just one of those cases. Now, this case is just, it's a pea, or you call it, a pea in a pot, or a drop in the bucket, if you will, of cases like this that have come across my desk in the past 12 months. And particularly during the COVID, shutdown here in America, more and more of these cases came to light, hit the news, shocked a lot of people, and yet, according to the statistics that are out there, this is just a drop in the bucket or a pea in the pot of all the crimes that are committed against these individuals out there, because a large majority of them are never reported in the evening news. There is a section of society that is underserved, is never taken seriously, because they don't have the skills, ladies and gentlemen, to speak up for themselves. They don't have an advocate in their corners in a lot of cases and in a lot of locations across the United States. They don't have an advocate in their corner to speak up on their behalf, to make sure that not only is the person who committed these crimes against them prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, but that on top of that, they need an advocate in their corner to make sure that the actual crimes are prosecuted and they're taken seriously by the district attorneys, police departments, and everyone along the line who would protect you or me if a crime happened to us, who would step in right away. In a lot of cases, states have what they call crime victims compensation funds. And in a lot of these cases that I'm about to talk to you about today, in this one case in particular, crime victims doesn't help them. They won't reach out to them. Because how do you substantiate that an actual crime happened here? I mean, the police can see there's a crime here that happened here. The DSF, our Child Protective Services, knows a crime happened here. But the perpetrator isn't going to say anything, and the victim, in this case, is nonverbal. They can't speak up for themselves. And again, there's nobody in their corner to defend them, to stand up and make sure that the people who were responsible for what happened are sent to jail. Woman kept child with severe autism locked inside of a wood and metal cage in Palm Beach, Florida, police say. Melissa Ann Dodd, age 43, has been taken into custody for 3 counts of child neglect and 1 count of child abuse. Officers were first called to the area of Fillmore Avenue Northwest on July 24th when a neighbor reported they saw a child inside of their screened-in porch. The responding officers were able to determine the female child was nonverbal and had a disability. Officers figured out that the child lived next door. When police went to Doss's home, she refused to open the door or even speak to officers initially. Eventually, she was seen climbing over the back fence and met the officers in the front yard by the front door. Doss said she had been sleeping and wasn't aware that the child had even left the home. She again refused to let officers into the home to do an environmental and safety hazards check, which is common for children who are disabled and are found in situations where they had no supervision. Later the same day, officers were called back to the same area because the child was back at the home. Doss stated that she was at the end of her rope and began with the litany of excuses before refusing again to let officers in her home to do a welfare check. Police said she stated, "If you saw the inside of my residency, DCF, Child Protective Services, would be called." A child protective investigator was called the next day, 3 days now from the initial police interaction with this lady. Upon entering the home through the back door of the residency, the immediate smell of feces and urine was strongly present. Officials said there was trash, bugs, spiders, flies scattered throughout the home, and that no part of the floor was visible and not covered by trash. Officials said large chunks of the roof had collapsed in, and large spores of mold could be found in every single room of the home. The officer noted that the residency did not have any working bathrooms, had no food in the cabinets in the Child protective investigators learned that Doss and one child shared a bed. Next to the bed, the officers learned there was a homemade metal and wood cage. Inside the cage is a blanket and a pillow where another child was kept. Officers were told that Dodd locks the child inside the cage at night, and the child screams until the morning until Doss lets her out. Officials stated that the child was kept in the cage, is nonverbal, and has severe autism. Doss appeared before a judge Monday afternoon and was given a $20,000 bond, while her nonverbal daughter, who had been kept in a cage for years, is still screaming out. She may be nonverbal, but she's screaming out for someone to protect her, someone to care. She's human. She may have a learning disability. She may have a barrier to communication, but she's human. She needs love just like you and me and everyone else out here. As sad as this case is, in the past 12 months, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen some horrific examples of things that people have done with their disabled children, and especially those with autism and Down syndrome in the past 12 months while the COVID shutdown took place. Because all of the social services that these children would normally have had, where they could have gone out of the home to get services and given the parents some kind of reprieve, didn't exist. We have seen this case play out in other areas as well, where a child with Down syndrome or autism was abused in the same manner in the past year. Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington, and Boise, Idaho, ladies and gentlemen, rounds out the list of children who were abused. And these are just the cases that we know of that made the evening news. Whenever it was slow and they had something else that they could put on. Otherwise, it makes a police report. The Department of Child Services comes in and removes the child. They go somewhere else. Temporary foster home. Hopefully it's better. Another loved one, family member, somebody who will care for them. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's not the best thing for the child. But it's better than where they were. We've seen this play out over and over again, and we're not done yet. These are just the children who have been rescued. if Mrs. Doss is actually convicted and is sentenced to the maximum sentence that she could get in this case, she's looking at a grand total of 4 average in the state of Florida for the crimes that she has actually been charged with. How long do you think it's going to take that child, her daughter, her biological daughter, who was kept in a metal and wooden crate with no barriers to outside, entertainment, love, nothing? What about the other children who didn't have disabilities, who had to live through the same thing? This is the darkest, deepest, sickest part of society that comes across my desk every week. I'd like to thank Alexandra for sending me this story, a viewer, subscriber of this channel for several years now, for sending me this story. She knew how much this was going to hit me. She knew I couldn't leave it alone. I can't imagine that there is a God in this world that would allow something like this to happen to children. But everything has to be for a purpose, right? There has to be a reason. It's going to happen again and again and again until society, as a society, we wake up and we realize that there are things going on in the behind closed doors next door to us that we don't know. Where did little Timmy go? Where did little Bobby go? What happened to Summer Wells? What happened to the little kid, at school, who was in a special education class that you saw once or twice in the hallway or at an assembly goofing off? What happened to that child in the past 12 months? Where are they today? Are they as well off? Is somebody watching out for their best interest? Chances are there is no one. Those who are out there who care are there every day. But we can only go so far. We can only do so much. Thank you for joining me today. And you, stay safe out there.